Okay, so today we're looking at IELTS Task 2 essay, and the pattern we're doing is causes. So we're looking at causes of a problem and solutions. Okay, so a typical essay for this, you'll have your introduction where you'll lay out the background information and what the topic is and why it's important to discuss it. You'll have one paragraph talking about the causes, you'll have one talking about the solutions, okay, and then you'll have your conclusion. Ideally, in a stronger essay, the solutions that you propose will link clearly to the causes that you've identified. So if you say, oh, the cause of increasing road traffic accidents is that the speed limit is too high, then in your solutions, you'll say the solution to this would be for the government to make the speed limit lower. Okay, so your causes and solutions should link together. Let's take a look at the topic. In some countries, the average weight of people is increasing and their levels of health and fitness are decreasing. What do you think are the causes of these problems and what measures could be taken to solve them? Okay, so we're talking about the causes of increasing weight and what are some solutions the government could take or people could take to improve their health. Okay, so let's take a look at this introduction. It is undoubtedly the case that these days people are having issues regarding their weight and obesity. So weight is always going to be singular. Okay, when we're talking about your weight, how much do you weigh? What's your weight? My weight is, I lost weight, I gained weight. It's always singular. If you say weights as a plural, then it makes me think of like, at the gym, like those dumbbell things that you lift up and down. So that would be if you have an S at the end. Okay, so issues regarding weight and obesity. Otherwise, they don't exercise enough to ameliorate it. So this is not the correct linking word here, okay? Because you're adding on something. They're having issues, not only because they don't exercise or, this is due to not exercising enough to ameliorate it. So this is a very fancy word, so points for using fancy vocabulary, but it's almost too fancy for the situation, for the essay that you're writing. It sounds like you're trying too hard to be too formal, and so the vocabulary doesn't really fit with the context of this introduction. So I would suggest to change it to a formal but not overly complicated word. There are several reasons for this problem and various measures can be taken by governments to improve the situation. This is my least favorite thing to do in an introduction, okay? It's just to vaguely say several reasons and various measures, okay? Be more specific. What's the general type of cause you're going to be looking at? What's the general type of solution? So you don't have to list exactly what you're going to say, but you can give me a general vague idea. So there are several reasons, maybe say related to media images that you could talk about. Maybe you're going to be the theme of your causes. People are getting depressed because they only see unrealistic body types, try to diet too hard and end up damaging their bodies and gaining too much weight or something like that, So maybe that's your theme related to media images. Various measures, okay, and then be more specific, okay? Are they government methods? The government could take more methods in terms of promoting healthy lifestyles or making free public spaces available, or improving outside exercise areas. So just give me a general idea of what you're going to talk about. So the structure of this introduction is okay. We've got a couple of issues with linking words and vocabulary, and in terms of task achievement, this is a little bit too vague. Okay, there are two main factors that have led to the tendency. There are two main factors that have led to the tendency that the people are getting more weight, that people are getting more weight, are gaining more weight and spending less time and money for their health on. You spend money on your health. Okay, I'm spending more time on this. I'm spending more time on that. When you're doing something, you spend time on it. Spend this time and money on their health. One of the major causes is the habit. So we're just talking about one habit. No, it's habits. So it's plural. People tend to stay home, especially after COVID and while working. And while working, they sit down on a chair for a long time without any physical activities. So you can see there when I read that with that comma. So the comma gives you a pause to breathe. And it also creates a separation between clauses and ideas in your sentence. So listen, I'm going to read it the first way with this original comma, okay? People tend to stay home, especially after COVID and while working. They sit down on a chair for a long time without any physical activities. Okay, so for this one, it's saying they stay home after COVID and while working. So that connects these two ideas together. Okay, or this is the second way. This is with I'm going to read it with a comma here. People tend to stay home, especially after COVID. And while working, they sit down on a chair for a long time without any physical activities. Okay, so then that's saying that while working, they're sat down in the chair. So, I feel like this way is more natural. And so I would want to have it done that way. Okay, so I'd want to keep this comma here. Food habit is also included. Food habit. Vague. I don't mean by food habit. The what you eat, your daily diet, is also included. So maybe you want to say daily diets. Daily diet, or people's daily diets, are also included, as it's crucial for digestion and nutrition to boost fat loss of the body. I can see again using digestion to boost fat loss of the body. I'm not sure what digestion and nutrition has to do with boosting fat loss. I'm a little bit unclear about the meaning of that sentence. We've also changed topic. Okay, so we've gone from physical activity suddenly to diet. So I think that for task achievement, you need to fully explain your ideas and give examples. So for this person, I would say focus on the physical. You don't need to mention everything in your IELTS essay. Focus on the physical and give more detail. Give me an example. Explain your logic more clearly. Okay, use linking words to create a chain link of sentences. Okay, because I feel like you've mentioned food in the last sentence, and it sort of feels like, oh, what, we're talking about food, but you only wrote one sentence, so you didn't explain in detail. A second reason is that being fit is expensive. Subscriptions for the gym. Subscriptions for the gym, having vitamins, particularly like fruits and vegetables, having vitamins, particularly like the vegetables and fruits and fruit, cost a lot. Okay, so this is confusing because you normally list a list of 3 things, right? But this is what you're saying. In Korea, cost a lot. Okay, I think it's you don't want to say particularly here. Okay, because that's focusing in on one part of this. Okay, so subscriptions for the gym, having vitamins, particularly the vegetables and fruits in Korea, costs a lot. So I just feel like it should either be subscriptions for the gym and having vitamins, particularly vegetables and fruits, in Korea costs a lot. Okay, or you get rid of particularly and you have the listen where you say subscriptions for the gym, vitamins, and vegetables cost a lot in Korea. Okay, so again, there's 2 ways that you can phrase that sentence. It just feels a little bit unnatural. Again, it's this issue of the comma plus this word particularly. Okay, so that's taking me out of the list, which means even though people desire to have healthier lives. Okay, so this is like have healthier lives. It can be complicated when thinking about the budget. They would rather eat nothing than eat foods with rich minerals. The fitness studio and vitamins are luxury for some people as well. Okay, so that's fine. You've kind of explained it. I would want to see an example here, which you can make up, doesn't have to be true. But I would say this is sort of explained. This is sort of saying this thing about the food habit is not being explained enough. So I would want to see a bit more detail. But it's good that they've gone through 2 causes. I'm just curious if they've left themselves enough time to do the solutions. Second measure would be for governments. Okay, well, second measure, we've not done the first measure yet. So one measure would be for governments to act related facilities, giving additional support to allow everyone to have access to consume vegetables and fruits cheaper. To act is the wrong verb here. I'm not sure what they're trying to say. Maybe open or fund. In Korea, I feel that as we offer fruit as a gift in special occasions, this prejudice may every fruit gold price but has beautiful form. Okay, living in Korea, I understand what you mean about those really expensive, super fancy fruit baskets, and the perfect form about like those, like the beautiful, identical like cherries and stuff that you buy for really expensive. But for anyone outside of Korea, this is not going to make sense. What does gold price mean? What does beautiful form mean? Okay, that's not been explained clearly enough for a non-Korean audience, or for someone who's not familiar with buying fruits and vegetables in Korea. Okay, so I would ask this person to rephrase that and rewrite it in a more explicit manner so that other people can understand what they mean. From my point of view, it is strongly necessary. I would never really say strongly necessary. I would just say it is really necessary, it is very necessary, or just it is necessary that government takes actions to produce better supply, investing, farm, harvest liaison. This is supply, investing, farm, harvest liaison. Again, I can kind of feel what it is you're trying to say, that the government should invest more in like getting cheaper fruits and vegetables, but I think I would just say that more plainly. I think trying to go with the more complicated vocabulary has actually made it a little bit more confusing. In conclusion, despite some obvious reasons, various measures can be taken to tackle the problem of obesity and health-related issues in the society. Any action should probably involve encouraging people to have health-friendly daily life and making healthy ingredients less expensive for people to preserve their silhouette. Okay, so this sentence, as I was reading that sentence, I was thinking, this sentence is really good. What a great, and then for people to preserve their silhouette. And this is nothing against the person who wrote that, but my feeling from this section is that whoever's been writing this is using some kind of online dictionary or online thesaurus to look up synonyms or ways to paraphrase maintain their body. But the result is sometimes it comes out where the meaning is not appropriate, even though technically it is a paraphrase. So maintain their silhouette, like, is such a strange way to phrase this in English. We would never to say to preserve your silhouette, like a silhouette, like is I don't know, like I know what it means, but I don't know how to explain what image this gives me in this context, because it's so outside of the norm of when we would use this word. So it's not anything against this kind of tool. It's a very common thing a lot of my students do is they use a dictionary or they use Naver search to look up paraphrases of words. But in this case, it's not an appropriate use of the word silhouette. So it just made the end of the sentence really strange. So if you just, this candidate just rephrased, you can use the same words. Sometimes in an IELTS essay, I wouldn't worry too much that you have to use a different word every single time, because there's only so many ways to paraphrase some phrases. So it should be better to have lessons for people to maintain their health, or to maintain a healthy body, or to maintain a body that is healthiest for them, or something like that. Any action should probably involve encouraging people to have health-friendly daily life, to have a health-friendly daily life, and making healthy ingredients less expensive. Okay, this part was fine. This part was great. No problems with that. I thought that was well written. So overall, I'm thinking that this person's they've included a lot of points. They've got 2 causes. They've got 1 solution, but they've not really explained fully any of them, if that makes sense. So, for example, in this one about the fruits and vegetables, I'd have liked to explain more why cheap fruit and vegetable will make people healthier. Okay, so you've got to show me like a logic chain of events, okay, using our, therefore, so, okay, so if fruits and vegetables are cheaper, people will be able to buy more fruits and vegetables, therefore they will be able to have a healthier, more nutritious diet, and therefore it will help them to lose weight, or something like that. So that's my main issue with the task achievement, is that they've not fully explained all of their ideas. They're covering a lot, but not in detail, if that makes sense. It's better in IELTS to pick 2 things. They know you can't possibly talk about everything, but talk about 2 things with lots of kind of detail, rather than talk about like 3 or 4 things and just kind of do like a quick skim over them. So that's what I'd like to see. So overall for task achievement, I'd probably give a 5/5, because they did do problems, they did do solutions, didn't really explain fully why the solutions would fix the problem, but they made a good effort. Coherence and cohesion. There were some issues with the linking words. Didn't always link fully together. There was kind of a logic to it. So I'd probably give a 5.5. Vocabulary, I give a 5.0 just because they are trying to use this high level formal vocabulary, but the issue is that they're not using it in the appropriate context. And this can be very frustrating for students who are like, well, you say I need to be formal, but then when I use the dictionary, you say it's wrong. Part of it just comes through your own study and practice. And the best thing to do to get a feeling of appropriate vocabulary is to read more in English. Read more formal things in English, and you'll get to feel what kind of vocabulary is appropriate for different situations. Go on CNN, BBC, the New York Times. Practice reading more in English, and it will help give you that feeling for what level and what style of words are appropriate, and it will sort of help you going too far in the other direction of using far too fancy and far too formal words. Grammar, there were sort of some issues with grammar, some issues with incorrect words, some issues with punctuation, some issues with plurals, some consistent areas. There was a couple of points where it was a bit confusing for me to know exactly what you meant, or to know specifically what you meant. You actually get like a general feeling for what you were talking about. So the grammar for me will be more like a 4.5. So I think overall this is coming out at a 5.0. I think there's a lot of potential here. This candidate wrote a lot, which is very good. They're trying to use this high level vocabulary, which is also very good. And they answered the question, by addressing all the different parts of the question. So I think the main things, definitely they can check their vocabulary. That's something that they can sort of boost their score on quite easily. And task achievement, like I said, pick fewer things to talk about, but talk about them in more detail.